Knowing that I'm gonna want to mention the title of this film throughout this review, I'm just going to shorten it so I don't trip over myself like an idiot. So throughout this video, I'm just going to refer to this film as The Ministry. Okay, we got that out of the way. Let's get into it. I know Guy Ritchie, like Zack Snyder, can be a pretty polarizing director. Unlike Zack Snyder, however, and I'm probably gonna get killed for this, I think Ritchie actually makes good films, for the most part. He has had some straight up bombs, that's undeniable. And although the narratives in his movies may not always be as cohesive as they could be, you can always rely on them to be fun. And that remains true for this movie as well. Like, subscribe, comment, and tell a friend if you haven't. And if you're new here, check out the channel. Let me know what you think. Alright, let's dive into The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. Oof, that title. Let me just say right from the top that if you're expecting something different from Guy Ritchie this go-round, don't. I think it's safe to say he's pretty set in his ways as a director at this point. This is a Guy Ritchie movie through and through. And that's not a bad thing. I quite enjoy his movies. I know some people that don't, but that's just the kind of director he is. You either like him or you don't. And even though I enjoy his work, I will be the first to admit that he has made some downright bad movies. King Arthur, Swept Away, Revolver, Aladdin, Wrath of Man. I know Wrath of Man has its fan base, but I very much disliked that movie. I thought it was extremely boring, and Jason Statham is not a leading man, no matter how many times someone tries to make him one. He's an action star, sure, but he's not capable of carrying a movie of that degree. So all of this is to say, Ritchie, like every other director, isn't perfect. Neither is The Ministry, but goddamn is this movie fun. This movie is jam-packed with a plethora of charming and likable characters. It sports elaborate, visually striking action sequences and Guy Ritchie's signature situational comedy. The narrative is simple. This is a heist movie. We follow a group of ragtag, disavowed miscreants from various European nations as they set out to destroy an Italian supply ship that houses various equipment that are integral to the operation of German U-boats during World War II. All under the direct order, discreetly I should add, of Winston Churchill. During this time in the war, America was conflicted about joining the Allied campaign, as England, the strongest ally at this time, was on the verge of collapse. It's also worth noting that because of the U-boats patrolling the Atlantic waters, that it was very risky for America to take that chance. The entire goal of this mission was to halt U-boat operations temporarily to give America a window to commit troops and supplies to the war effort safely. This movie is sort of marketed as this Black Ops World War II mission, and it is, but I stated earlier that this is more of a heist movie, and that's true. In fact, there are really two separate heists. The first is the rescue of captured British officer Geoffrey Appleyard, played by Alex Pettyfer, from German hands. He is a close ally of the group's leader, Gus March Phillips, played by Henrycavill, and he is what Phillips sees as an essential piece to complete this team. Phillips and the three other men in the group, Anders Lassen, played by Alan Ritchson, Henry Hayes, played by Hero Finds Tiffin, and Freddie Alvarez, played by Henry Golding, successfully infiltrate a German base in the Canary Islands and free Appleyard before setting out on their main mission. While the main mission is to destroy the supply ship, it's not until the climax that new intel is acquired by Marjorie Stewart, played by Isaac Gonzalez, revealing that the ship has recently been reinforced and is no longer sinkable. So, the team takes it upon themselves to hatch an elaborate plan to commandeer the ship by towing it out of the harbor, while also causing mayhem and killing a myriad of Nazis along the way. And I've got to say, it's a really good time. Look, this movie isn't this profound World War II tale of heroics and honor. It's a very straightforward, action-packed romp containing a cast of misfits that just love killing Nazis, Tarantino style. And if you're expecting anything more, then this movie isn't for you. This isn't a character-driven narrative, so don't go in hoping for any complex character arcs or deep themes of war and how it affects the human psyche. That's not Ritchie's style. This movie is very much about this single mission and its greater effect on the war. And along the way, you meet some very ruthless yet delightful characters. In fact, the best aspect of this film is the characters. Admittedly, none of them are very well rounded out. They're all kind of one-dimensional. But with a story like this that focuses on one specific event rather than character development, I didn't mind it. Plus the fact that they're all enjoyable to be around. Henrycavill and Alan Ritchson are both equally hilarious in this movie. Both are clearly deranged human beings who march at the beat of their own drum, and both of these actors play these parts perfectly. Henry Golding, Pettifer, and Tiffin don't get as much screen time as them, but what we do get, they're very likable and funny. And they all have specific skill sets that are relevant to this mission. This whole team's chemistry is electric, and you feel it in every scene. They play so well off of each other, and you can tell that they probably had a blast filming this movie. Isa Gonzalez and Babs Olasamokin are also a part of the team, but have their own mission of distracting the head German officer at the port, as well as cutting out the power in the port to allow a sneaky getaway. And they're both great in their roles as well, Gonzalez specifically. She's an actress by trade, but really plays the role of an undercover agent, and she sells it. The action is exciting and inventive. I mean, if there is one thing Ritchie has always been a professional at, it's his planning and execution of massive action sequences. In The Ministry, he doesn't disappoint. In the climax especially, it's gory, violent, hilarious, and all you could want. Actually, there's a portion of this climax where the group is split out into 4 separate teams, all 4 implementing different facets of the plan that will bring the entire heist together. And during this portion, we jump back and forth between each team as they plant bombs, massacre Nazi officers, and infiltrate the supply ship. And the whole time we're treated to this score of this percussion section just beating over top, integrated in with this constant buzzing of an alarm from the supply ship, and it is incredible. All in all, if you enjoy Guy Ritchie's films, especially his recent work, I think you'll find a lot to like in The Ministry. Again, you're not going to come out of it mulling over some esoteric philosophy about war and the human condition, but you're gonna have fun. This movie is an action summer flick, and that's all it needs to be. Plus, you'll learn something new about World War II. Well, maybe. This movie, from what I gather, isn't the most accurate in terms of its character work. However, from what I can tell, the basis of this mission seems to be very accurate in its portrayal. Oh, and there's one more thing. One of the officers in charge of assembling this team is Ian Fleming, the Ian Fleming, creator of James Bond. And Fleming notably based Bond, at least partly, on Cavill's Gus March Phillips and his missions during the war. So, I don't know. That's pretty cool, I guess.